Welcome to the Football Forecast, your ultimate guide to the NFL week ahead. Get ready as we dive deep into the biggest matchups, analyze key player performances, and break down the strategies that could make or break your favorite team's chances. Whether you're looking to dominate your fantasy league, make smart picks and bets, or simply stay ahead of the game, we've got you covered with insights and predictions. So buckle up, football fans. It's time to get your game face on for another action-packed week in the NFL. While only one team can hoist the trophy at the end, it all starts with the forecast. All right, and here we go. Welcome to the Football Forecast on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. We are all here. You're probably wondering, hey, this is usually put out in tape form, but we are alive for our Super Bowl broadcast or Super Bowl show, however you want to look at it. So please join us now. We are going to do our Super Bowl predictions, our props, and all that stuff. We are live on a bunch of platforms. We are live on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. We are live on a bunch of other Twitter platforms, on the ETB Network Twitter, the ETB Sports Twitter, the Bandos Breakdown Twitter, the Football Forecast Twitter. So join us wherever you're watching us currently right now, because we will be going over a lot in the next hour and a half or so as we get to our picks to the big game, Super Bowl 59. If you want to follow this show, follow us on social media at TFB Forecast ETB on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Like I said, you saw the ETB Network socials. This won't be on the audio platforms, obviously, but if you want to listen, go back in the archives for this year. Listen to the Football Forecast wherever you get your podcasts. And the Football Forecast is presented by Playback. Watching sports is more fun with others, but we spend too much of our time watching alone. Playback is a virtual space where communities can stream live sports together with everyone perfectly synced up. Creators can hop on stage, deliver their own play-by-play analysis and commentary, and invite viewers up for Q&A. Playback makes watching sports fully interactive and a social experience, from playing fantasy sports, repping your favorite players and teams, and watching with the commentators and communities you care about. Win or lose, sports are best enjoyed together. Join our community by going to playback.tv/ETB Network to find out more, including our live stream schedule. We've been doing a ton on there. We did some of the college football. We watched the national championship. We've been doing some NBA. We have some other stuff up our sleeves with WWE coming very soon. So we'll get into all that as well. But, guys, it's the final game of the NFL season. The Super Bowl has finally commenced. Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. And it's the second to last show for this show, the Football Forecast. So we have a lot to get into. Let's get a temperature of the room first. Are we looking forward to the big game? I'll start with Zan. I'll go around. So, Zan, what's the temperature you have on this game so far?
Yeah, I always look forward to the Super Bowl every year. I covered this game to a certain extent the first time these two teams played in Arizona, and one of my NFL playoff brackets actually correctly predicted that these two teams would play each other. So, yeah, there's a part of me that does feel pretty excited, and also a part of me based on just some digging I did back in the archives when we did our NFL preview show. I actually had half the Super Bowl correct. I said Kansas City would make it to the Super Bowl back in August, and here we are. So I feel pretty accomplished about that, and yeah, I would say for sure I'm looking forward to the game, and assuming it lives up to the hype with two very, very exciting offenses and two very, very good quarterbacks, and two, I would say, pretty good head coaches, one being significantly better than the other, obviously. I think it has a chance to be a very good game. So, yeah, I'm very excited for it.
Grant, what's your temperature on the game so far?
I mean, I'm always excited for the Super Bowl, like everyone should be. But I mean, it's so hard for me, to figure out who to pick for this game because both teams are so great that you. I mean, it could go both ways. But I'll get into my pick later. But this is a great Super Bowl matchup, and I can't wait to see how it commences tomorrow.
Kanan, what's the temperature you got on this game so far?
Yeah, as much as I didn't want to see this matchup, I would have preferred some new faces like Bills Commander Super Bowl. I thought that would have been exciting. The closer we get to it, I'm getting more pumped on it. It would be nice to see what the Eagles can do now with a new roster. They had a lot of pieces, so pretty pumped for it.
All right, Anthony, temperature so far in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, of course. I'd much rather see Josh Allen than the Bills and see some different teams and new faces. But this week is interesting. Usually the Super Bowl week is very exciting. You get to see two of the best teams, but it's also depressing and disappointing because it's the last game for probably the next 6 or 7 months. But when I look at this matchup, you definitely have to be excited. I know it's a rematch from a couple years ago, but you got the most talented team on paper in the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the best team in the NFL and the Kansas City Chiefs with Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid. So it's definitely a very exciting matchup, and I'm very pumped.
Ben, temperature on the Super Bowl week so far?
Yeah, I think most of you guys pretty much hit the nail already. Of course, it's been a matchup that we've seen for a couple of years now. And you have one team specifically that is trying to get the revenge from a couple of years ago on the same exact team. And you got another team that's trying to make history for the first time ever. So I know a lot of people don't want to see this matchup, but just the fact that there's history specifically on the line too, I think also makes this a very much watched type of game. Even for fans specifically that say they're not going to watch it, listen, they're going to be watching the commercials. They're going to be eating food. They're going to be doing something specifically tomorrow involving the Super Bowl, whether they're going to be watching or not. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who says they're not watching the game, first of all, if I'm not mistaken, and if I'm wrong, tell me, but I think it's the most watched event of the year, period. Like, there's no...
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
So, before news, before New Year's, at the end of the year, it is the most watched event, period. Whether you're watching it for the game, whether you're watching it for the commercials, which I think the number this year was $5 million for 30 seconds this year, which is, it's absurd what people are willing to pay. But, yeah, it's just one of those things where I don't know what to expect and different things to do. So we'll have to see how this really plays out and how the commercials will be. I always find it fascinating how much money they pay some of these celebrities to be in these commercials, because that's always fascinating. The one thing I miss, and they don't do it anymore, is the Clydesdales with Budweiser. I miss that. They haven't done that in quite a long time. And then you get some of the religious commercials, which I don't understand, that they pay a lot of money for. Those are kind of weird, but don't really want to go more into that. But
well, actually, something that we could kind of go around and ask before we get into the actual football part. You're talking about people who are watching the game and who are excited about the game. Can we do a little around the horn and see what everybody's plans are for the Super Bowl? Because I bet that some people's plans are different than others.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just start. I'm having family over and we're making a bunch of food, so we're going pretty generic. Ben, anything planned for Super Bowl?
No, probably just watching at home. Obviously when my team was in it for a lot of years, I would be pretty much stressed eating a lot. There was one year in college where my team was playing. Of course, there's a 20-3 comeback with a bunch of buddies of mine. Some were obviously Pats fans, some weren't. So, of course, there's a little hostile involved. I prefer to watch it specifically just with family. Friends, of course, are fun, but sometimes it can get a little bit of a hostile that goes on specifically. For all banter and fun, though. But, just going to be chilling.
Anthony, what are you doing?
Yeah, I guess pretty basic as well. Just going to get some of that good buffalo pizza and some of that good buffalo wings and watch the game with my significant other.
Yeah,
okay.
Pizza and wings, by the way. #1 combo for Super Bowl.
Yeah, really. Kanan, what are you doing for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Maybe eat some home cooked meals that the family makes, and sit down, have a couple beers.
Sounds good.
Friends over.
Sounds good. Grant, what are you doing for the Super Bowl?
Well, so I'm down at college, and we've had a Super Bowl party the last couple of years, so we're doing that again. We're getting some Wingstop and some other stuff for food. So we'll pretty generic, having some having a Super Bowl party with friends and all that stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Just a little nugget, considering that Grant and I went to the same college at one time. That's a Super Bowl party that I've been to in the past, and it's very, very fun. That's for sure. So
Oh yeah, it's a blast. It's a blast.
Zam, what are you doing?
I'm gonna be with my parents at home, and then one of my friends who I actually just went to the Blackhawks game with yesterday might come over for a little bit of the game too, and we might just order pizza and just have tons of appetizers. And in the past, it used to be a tradition in my town where at least one family would host 70 people for the Super Bowl. But as people's kids got older and as people started to go off to college, that started to die down. And it's been weird because for the last several Super Bowls I've been at school, and then I was at the physical Super Bowl site a few years ago. So it's been a really long time since I've fully watched the Super Bowl at home, unless you count last year. So I'm excited to not really do anything for it, and I'm excited to just stay warm because it's going to be cold tomorrow here as well, and it should be fun. So
Yeah, I mean, what's so crazy about this game, and a lot of people are saying "Oh, are the Chiefs going to be given an advantage again? Like the NFL wants a three-peat." Now, I do think I'm in the camp who thinks that the NFL is really badly wants them to three-peat because that's good marketing.
I think they do too, because A, it's good marketing, and B, the ratings for next year's Week 1 game for whoever Kansas City plays are probably going to be, I'm just going to say it on a limb. If Kansas City wins this game tomorrow, the Week 1 ratings for whoever Kansas City is going to play are going to be either the biggest Week 1 ratings in a really long time or the biggest Week 1 ratings ever for a single game. I think because everybody's going to be anticipating if they can win 3 in a row, why can't they win 4? So that's where I think a lot of people are going to go with this. And then obviously from an Eagles perspective, and I have to throw this in there because I am a college guy at heart, I'm sure that the Philadelphia Eagles fans want a bit of a taste of revenge, if you will, considering that Penn State couldn't win the national championship. So this might be the game where the Eagles do something this year that Penn State was unable to do. So I think as much as there's pressure on the Chiefs to three-peat, there's also pressure on the Eagles to give the city of Philadelphia validation, win another Super Bowl for the NFC, and there's other factors involved too. But I think the storylines for this game are very, very interesting, just because you have stars on both sides and you don't really know what's fully going to happen. But it seems to me like the whole vibe this week, and I could be wrong because I'm not obviously in New Orleans this week, but it seems to me like the whole vibe this week is just people are excited to get to actual game day and none of the theatrical stuff, which I think kind of takes away from the overall experience itself. But that's just me though. So
the one thing that does annoy me, and I don't know if this annoys everybody else, on the actual Super Bowl day, I really don't need a pregame starting at 11 o'clock Eastern for a 6:30 p.m. Eastern time game.
Which is what they're doing again. It's another 5 hour.
Who cares? Why do I need a pregame at 11 o'clock? I don't. I don't need all this nonsense. Give me a pregame at 6 p.m. if you really want a pregame. And if you can set up a Super Bowl game, I'll be nice. You want to do an hour before the game? That's fine. But anything more than an hour is just useless time that people are not sitting in front of their TV. They're just not. They're also waiting.
Nick,
yeah, go ahead.
Also, Nick, I'm really sorry that I interrupted you here, but something that when I would watch the Super Bowl when I was younger, because everyone watched the Super Bowl when I was younger, and when I was younger, I always had school the next day. So I was always, I was staying up till 10 o'clock till the game was over. And then I'd get up at, and people at the parties would still stay till midnight. So I couldn't fall asleep until they all left. So I'd always go to school the next day, half asleep. In the future, I would love it they could
Do it on
consider
Saturday.
doing the Super Bowl on Saturday. That way people have Sunday to recuperate and then go to school on Monday. Now I'm in college now and I have Mondays off, but still it would be nice to have a day to recuperate because you're doing all this, you're partying when you're at the Super Bowl. So
I don't mean to interrupt you either, Graham, but I'm gonna counter you and say that I've been one of the people that believes that there should be a federal day off.
Yes.
The day after the Super Bowl.
You're talking about
either
Monday
a
being
federal
off.
day off or make the Super Bowl a Saturday.
Didn't they say that if the NFL were to expand the regular season 2 weeks, add in one more game on a bye week, the NFL would schedule it to where the Super Bowl would be the week after, so the following Monday after the Super Bowl would be President's Day.
They should do that.
That's a good idea.
Because then you could go party wherever you want, when you want.
You could go party wherever you want. You could go on vacation. You could potentially go to the game. You could do what you could do a lot of different things.
And also for people like us who cover the game, we can be ready to cover the game after it's over too. Like people will talk about the game if they don't have to worry about being up to go to work or go to school the next day. So that extends the life of the game a little bit more to be talked about. So it's in their favor if they would just add a day off or just make it on Saturday.
In terms of Grant's point, like I agree for sure that they definitely should have I know obviously you mentioned Saturday, but I do have to also slightly disagree in the fact of I just feel like they've kind of just started to have the Super Bowl on a Sunday every single year, in which
that's why I don't think they'll do it.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like
it doesn't ring either.
Same if they're like, oh, all of a sudden we're just going to make it on a Saturday night, and it's just like, okay.
But it also doesn't have that ring like Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah,
has
obviously every other game is typically on a Sunday. It just doesn't. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but if you think about it, though, the last 2-3 weeks of the year, you get abnormal days
on Saturdays
for games on Saturdays and
Fridays and
Fridays. To be honest, I think it's actually worse like when they do the Black Friday game because no one can watch it.
Yeah,
because everyone's at work. So, but in the NFL's sake, and I'm sure everyone will agree, hopefully, but the NFL doesn't care if you're able to watch the game or not. They're going to make the most money they can make, and if they're going to make it inconvenient, they're going to make it inconvenient. They just don't care. Because to be honest,
they never will either. I don't think. They don't even care. I mean, think about it. They don't even care when it comes to college football. The first round of the expanded playoff, there were NFL games on the same day, and that's how it's more than likely going to be moving forward. They don't care.
Well,
they don't care if they take college football.
But look what happened with the NBA crossing over with the NFL. Like these leagues don't care anymore. It used to be like the leagues would care. Okay, you have this window. This league has this window, and this league has this window. They don't care about that. That's gone out the window.
Yeah, it's gone.
Now.
I agree.
So, first of all, like before this year in New Orleans, like having the last couple in Arizona was a nightmare because just the games are on later for everyone that has to go to work or go to school. But to them, it's the Super Bowl. It's the biggest game of the year. You're not going to miss it. So you're going to get up feeling tired the next day because you don't want to be the one idiot who's in the workplace or in the office and said, "Did you miss that game the night before?" You're just not. You're not going to do it.
No, you won't. Even the people who don't even like sports, like there are people that I consider. There are people that I know that are my friends and acquaintances who don't even like sports, and this is the only football game they watch all year.
It's true. I mean, we're all going to watch the game, even if we're going to be tired. I have to work early the next day. Actually, I have to get up at 5:30 the next day to go to work. But I'm going to watch
over till 10. So
yeah, well, and it's not going to be 10 because of the extended halftime show and all the commercials and all that stuff. It's going to be like 11:30 by the time all the festivities are really over.
Probably.
I will say though, working specifically the day after the Super Bowl is not always the worst thing because every single show that you will see the day after the Super Bowl is all about the Super Bowl stuff, and the media could be so
nasty,
insufferable at times. So it's just like if you're out and you're working specifically, it's like I missed it all. like I get to miss all the random crap that they're specifically saying
And
too. So
the other thing you run into is like the guys who are covering the game, the network guys or whatever, say they have to travel East Coast to West Coast. They're not going to be on the next day.
No.
They're just not because they got to travel.
And they plan it, and they for the guys who cover it. I think they plan that purposely so they know that they won't be on the following day.
Which is when everybody wants to hear those guys, though.
That's true.
But I don't know. It's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a close game. We'll get into it. We're not going to make the picks yet. We'll do that towards the end. But let's talk about some of the props because this is my favorite. And I'm not talking about yardage or that type of props. I'm talking about props that are considered novelties. So before I go into my list, was there any novelty props that any of you guys saw out there that you found interesting?
Not that I've seen, to be honest.
So
I don't really do that. I should have, but I don't. So I didn't think of it. All I do know, I don't know what the color of it is, but I do know that they always they have a bet where you can bet on what the color of the Gatorade is.
Which is such a crapshoot because you have no idea what the prop is going to be.
Actually, that's not true. The players get there 3 hours early, and they find out what color it is 3 hours early, 3 hours before the game starts.
So what stops somebody from sending that to the outside world and making a bet on it?
They legally can't because then that's considered tampering, and then they probably would get suspended, fined, or even banned. Because
that's one of
that's one of those inside information.
Yeah,
things.
he's right, Grant. Because if everybody sends that out, but the thing is, though, these guys have their phones 3 hours before the game. What stops them from accidentally or doing something that they shouldn't be doing?
A lot. Because there's
I mean, if you look at what players have been doing with betting inside buildings, you know, the smart ones know that they shouldn't do that, so they don't get fined or released from their teams.
But right off the top, I'll go with the prop that everybody hates every year because it's a 50-50 bet right before the game.
The coin toss.
The coin toss. Does anyone have any interest in the coin toss whatsoever?
I do, but only for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But I'm saying from a bettor's perspective, does anyone have an interest in the coin toss?
I can't say I have interest in it because it's literally a 50-50. If it was like... Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Honestly,
go ahead, Grant, finish.
I honestly, I don't know what else to say. It's 50-50. You can't really say that when it's a 50-50 shot that it's going to be one side more than the other. So I can't really expand on it. So go ahead, Ben.
No, sorry to cut you off, Grant. The only time I cared about a coin toss was the Super Bowl against the Falcons, 20-3. Matthew Slater, he said, heads, call it. I said, we're winning this, John. First drive. Look what happened. So that was the only time.
The funny thing, though, is when you look at the betting odds, it's not put out there as a 50-50 bet. If you look at it, I think it's a minus 105 because I don't think that's a 50-50, right? Because wouldn't a minus 100 be a 50-50? Or am I making that up?
Minus 100? Do you mean like an even spread?
Like an even spread, yeah. Because it says that the coin toss is minus 105.
Yeah, so, if it says like minus 105 to minus 115, that basically means it's even. Yeah.
So what's interesting is DraftKings has some of the props up, and a few that they have is Eagles to win, coin toss, and to win game plus 300.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you could lose that bet just with the coin toss.
Yes.
It could be over. So,
can you imagine, like, hey, I put down a bet for a win and a coin toss. Oh, my bet is over just because I lost the coin toss.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That would be a bummer.
Now, here's one that everyone is squawking about. So this was a prop bet put out by DraftKings that everyone was not happy about. Jersey number of first touchdown scorer under 15.5. So that means all jerseys under 15 and under.
That's
score the first
I would
touchdown.
say over. I would say over.
That's impossible because I don't know if you should count Patrick Mahomes as a passing TD and
No. Just first. It's first touchdown scorer, meaning whoever that the ball goes to.
well
Not-
yeah what I'm saying is does anyone on the Chiefs wear under 15?
So I have a list. I have a list of numbers that they put on this list. So, like for instance, like Chiefs Xavier Worthy is number 1.
Mhm.
Hollywood Brown is number 5. DeAndre Hopkins is
Okay.
8. Juju Smith-Schuster is number 9.
Uh-huh,
Pacheco is 10.
uh-huh.
They do list Patrick Mahomes is 15.
But he'd have to
um,
run it in for that
yes.
to count, right?
Well, unless you're doing a wildcat and they throw in the football. But
Sure.
most notable options over 15.5. Kareem Hunt 29 and Travis Kelce 87.
Mm-hmm. And then
So
what about the Eagles?
Jalen Hurts, obviously, number 1. Devonta Smith,
Number
Devonta
6.
Smith, number 6. AJ Brown 11. Gainwell, number 14. And then for the over, Saquon Barkley, because he's number 26.
Mm-hmm.
And Dallas Goedert, number 88. So, do we see over 15.5 or under 15.5 for the first touchdown scorer? Zan, you want to take it first?
I would say over.
Who do you think it's going to be?
I think the first touchdown scorer is going to be Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way too. I think it would be good storyline
I
if they
said
got.
this last year, and I don't think it happened, but I think he might have been the second touchdown.
He was the second. Yeah, he was the second. It would have been great if he was the first. But Ben, over 15.5 jersey, under 15.5 jersey, either side, first score.
Probably go under.
Okay, so the options you would have obviously Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Pacheco.
Probably go AJ Brown.
He's been massive in storylines lately, also for not touching the football.
Yeah.
That would be a good story, too.
No pun intended.
Anthony, thoughts on this prop? Over 15.5 jersey, under 15.5 jersey. First score.
So before I give my prediction, I'm not someone that really thinks about props. So all this stuff's just off the top of my head. But usually the Chiefs like to get the ball at the second half. So if they win the coin toss, they're probably going to defer the ball. Normally with a Chiefs game, the team that gets the ball first, they usually score first, and then the Chiefs usually come back and win in the second half. So I think the Eagles are going to get the ball first, and I think they're going to score. And I think Saquon Barkley gets a touchdown. His number's 26, so that's above 15. So I'm going to go over on that.
I think that's actually not bad thought, because
No,
I think
that
you're
is.
right.
And because he just won the Offensive Player of the Year, so hopefully he lives up to expectations.
Kanan, what do you think about this prop? Over 15.5, under 15.5 jersey first score.
I'm going to kind of follow Anthony's thinking a little bit. I think the Eagles get the ball first, and although Saquon will run it down 99 yards, I got a Jalen Hurts tush push as the first score. So
Now
I'm gonna go under.
that would be fascinating if that happened on the first drive. All right, who else hasn't gone? Grant, did you give yours or no?
No, but I am gonna. I mean, I don't want to copy him, but I love what Anthony said. I mean, he Saquon Barkley just won Offensive Rookie of the Year or Offensive Player of the Year. Sorry, not Offensive Rookie of the Year. But I mean, the dude has been a monster with that offensive line, and I know that they haven't played each other this year, so we don't know what to expect, but Saquon can just burst through anything. So I'm gonna say Saquon is the first touchdown scorer.
All right, and Zan, you gave yours already, right? Or did you go?
No, I haven't given the first touchdown scorer yet.
Okay, so
So-
it'd be over 15.5 jersey or under 15.5 jersey.
I think it's going to be over, and I think similarly to what I said last year, even though I was wrong, I think it's going to be Kelsey.
It'd be a good storyline, right? Because all the Taylor Swift sycophants are going to be everywhere. I'm on the fence. I think the Saquon argument is a good one, and I think the Kelsey argument is a good one because I think that they're going to want to get Kelsey going early. But I think what Anthony said also about the coin toss, and I think they might win and defer just because they want to have that extra assurance going into the second half. I think the Eagles will get the ball first, and I think they're going to absolutely run the ball deep down the Chiefs' defensive line. And I think Saquon is going to try to make a point early for possible Super Bowl MVP, possibly. So I think Saquon is probably going to be the first touchdown scorer. But that's an interesting prop. I just don't know how to really gauge that one because I feel like there's so many weird rules and regulations and stuff on that. So I wouldn't really know exactly how to do that. All right, here's some other weird props. Travis Kelce under 15.5 miles per hour on a reception.
How are we supposed to predict that?
It's amazing what they come up with on these props, right?
But how do you even know if you'd win it or not? That's what I don't understand.
I feel like that's just a matter of luck. I mean, and a tight end isn't necessarily the fastest person to.
That's why they're doing it because they know that they're not the fastest person on the field.
Because the fastest people are wide receivers, running backs, and probably quarterbacks. Maybe depending on who the quarterback is, but I mean.
It's a tough one because tight ends are usually one of the slower guys on the field.
I got my
what do you think?
I'm going to go under. I think that Kelsey all season has been fairly on the slower side. And I think specifically, even his longer reception, specifically when he's had the broken tackles, he hasn't had that same burst that he had a couple of years ago. It's not that specifically he's washed up this and that, but I think specifically when he's catching the ball, he's breaking the tackles specifically because of his strength now, and obviously with his legs and stuff. He used to actually have pretty good speed back in the day, but I think that the Eagles are going to have him specifically kind of be more of like passing the flats, so a lot of specifically quick catches or big tackles. They have a very good tackling type of team, so I'm going to go with the under in terms of the miles per hour, I guess, for the reception.
I'm going to say under also.
Yeah, I would just say under because tight ends are usually one of the slower positions on the field. Usually, I don't know. Does anyone else have an indifferent on that, or is everyone pretty much on that front?
I'm on that front too. I'll go under.
All right, I'll give you one because this has been a conversation for both teams all year. Over 2.5 total fourth down conversions in this game. This has been a story like for both teams so far in the playoffs going for it on fourth down. I think in the Super Bowl, you're going to see more conversions on fourth down just because it's a Super Bowl and you're just going to do everything to win.
You'll see more than one at least, I think.
Wait, can you repeat that one more time?
Yeah, over 2.5 total fourth down conversions.
Okay.
I think there's going to be at least four or five. I think you're going to see a ton of going for it on fourth down in this game, and I don't think you're going to see a lot of punting in this game.
I know the Commanders were playing in the Super Bowl because we knew for a fact specifically that would be a heavy over in that.
So what do we think about that? Does anyone disagree with the over 2.5 on there or no?
No, that's a good over to have. I think with how successful both teams are.
Okay, another one. Chiefs to win from behind. This has been a discussion all season.
Oh, I could see it.
I could see that too.
Let's see. The Chiefs to win from behind right now are plus 175.
Like in terms of behind though, like when it comes to like points, like
as soon as they're behind, that's considered from behind. So,
I mean, yeah, I guess.
they always seem to win from behind when they play.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it doesn't even so it doesn't even matter if it's 3-0 Eagles.
That would be playing from behind.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, that's a little ridiculous, but I mean,
I mean, it's as technical of a definition I can really
yeah,
give
sure.
what playing from behind is.
I mean, specifically, I look at like 3-0 more of like trailing specifically. Like playing from behind, I feel like that's more of like an urgency type of deficit. Like, oh, like we gotta like get these points now. type
Yeah,
of
like
thing.
behind 10 or something would be playing from
Yeah,
behind.
yeah. Exactly. Yep. But yeah, that is interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna say for my section, I'm gonna say yeah. I think the Eagles will have a lead even if it's brief, and they'll find a way to blow it. I think.
I mean, there's just some ridiculous props. Like, just do I really want to get into the whole nonsense of Taylor Swift props and all that
Well, those
nonsense?
are-
Just say one of
Please
them.
don't.
What's one of them?
I gotta find them 1 second. But here's another one that's stupid before the game that I forgot. Length of national anthem.
Oh, this is a good one.
What's
I
the
think we did this
over
last
under?
year.
So the over under is 120 and a half seconds. So that's
2
was
minutes.
that 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
So 120 and a half, that would be 2 minutes and 1 second would be the over.
I'm gonna go
Who's in
under.
the halftime? I'm in the national anthem.
So it's John Batiste. I'm sorry if I butchered that name, but he's singing the national anthem.
Got to check his average per second on his.
Imagine if that was you can actually look up for like past years how long each of them have gone. Not that that really matters. But
Yeah, you can.
does anyone have like any ounce of inkling of if they would even attempt this whatsoever?
No, absolutely
Whatever.
not.
No
I would
defenses.
not bet on this at all.
No,
'Cause you
no
can't-
way.
The only way that you can tell if it's going to be longer is from what from when I started watching Super Bowls and actually remembered them. The only times that it's longer is when they're like really old country singers for some reason. Like they really like to prolong the national
Stretch it.
anthem.
Yeah.
They do. They'll hold one of the notes. Yeah.
You know where this whole prop bet started from, right? I don't know. I know, but does anyone else know?
I think you told me this, but now I can't remember.
Does anybody else know or no?
No,
So it started with Christina Aguilera when she did the national anthem, and she would ridiculously hold notes out long. And that was like her staple. She would do that all the
Right.
time.
Yeah.
So then it started with offshore props first, because you really couldn't do these type of prop bets on a real book legally. But when she did the national anthem, then it led to, let's time it and see if we can do the over under on the national anthem and see if we can figure it out. So it's just funny, like, and I'm reading the analysis on this article. They're actually giving betting advice on the national anthem, and
That's
according to
ridiculous.
this betting advice, it's saying take the under of 120 seconds and a half.
That's hilarious.
So you read what you want into that. I don't really know. We did the coin toss before. If you were looking for a fun fact, 30 of the last 58 Super Bowls and 6 of the past 10, tails has lost to heads.
so that's not even 50-50.
Correct.
God, come on. How can you bet on something that's supposed to be 50-50 when it's not 50? Jeez.
It's just funny how they come up with some of these props and how they decide how some of these props work. Like, if I'm going to make bets on a game, I want it to be on the actual game, not on something stupid I could lose my money on. Like, another prop okay, so here's the color of the Gatorade bath. So they have orange, water, or clear, I guess, or any other color. But they don't have a bet number on it. Any idea what we think the color is going to be for the Gatorade color?
See,
Here's
here's what I think they should do. I just came up with this, like on the spot, and I think this is a good idea. I'm gonna propose it, and I wish Roger Goodell and people in the NFL were watching, but I know they're not. But I think the Gatorade colors should be colors of whatever teams are in it. I think it should be like for this one, it should be red and green, or red and like a teal or close to green, because they don't have green for Gatorade, but something close to the Eagles color. I feel like that would be smart. Or
They should do
something.
the Kelly greens for the Eagles, by the way, for their jerseys. I think that would have been sick if they had those.
That's interesting. This one's more of an actual football game prop, but I see it on the DraftKings book all the time. Will a player complete an octopus? Now, does anyone know what an octopus is in the form of an NFL game?
Oh, doesn't that mean they score the touchdown and the 2-point conversion?
Yes.
And actually, the only reason that I know that is because I watch Madden players, and they talk about that. So I'm a little obsessed with Madden. So that's how I know that.
My answer is no.
I'm gonna say no too.
Because that's very hard to do, to score.
It is very hard. Unless you literally like line up or call the play and are like, okay, we're going for 6 with you, and then we're gonna go with the 2-point conversion, and we're gonna also throw it to you. So make sure you're open. It's a lot easier to score the touchdown than the 2-point conversion.
If anybody could do it, it's probably Mahomes, though.
Either Mahomes or I would say Saquon, because running backs usually get called for the ball after they score a touchdown. But all right, here's another good one, and I laugh at this one after the Super Bowl every year. Who will be mentioned first in the MVP speech?
Okay.
And so they give you odds here. The favorites for the first mention are teammates plus 325, God plus 200. But some long shots include the city plus 700 and coaches plus 450. Now, I think we're all probably thinking the same thing, probably, because after every win, there's usually one person that everybody thanks when they win the game.
Yeah, there is.
So are we all thinking God? Because I think that's where I think we're all leaning.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, for me, like if you say, like, for instance, Saquon Barkley, right? Saquon Barkley obviously has never been to a Super Bowl yet. He's never won a Super Bowl. So if he obviously won the MVP and he's up there on the stage and stuff, I mean, yeah, I'll probably say I'm thankful for God. But he's probably saying, like, listen, I went from an organization with the New York Giants that I couldn't win, let alone make the freaking playoffs for years. And then he finally wins a Super Bowl. He's like, well, thanks, guys. I greatly appreciate it. I could finally go to a contending type of team, and I could thank you guys specifically for all my my effort and stuff.
So you're in the teammates category then?
I guess so, yeah.
And then another one, Zan, you'll appreciate this one, actually, because we've talked about this before.
Okay.
Will there be a scoregami?
No.
I always appreciate it.
Not based on my score prediction that I'm about to give. I would say no.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
So a scoregami is a score that's never happened before, ever, in an NFL game, ever.
How can you predict that?
Actually, Zan has showed me this before. There's a site that tells you all the scores that have had a game with that score in it.
There's not just a website for it. On that same website, there's a live tracker if a scoregami is even close to happening too. It's literally nuts.
So basically, Grant, it's a score that has never ever happened in the history of an NFL game.
Okay, I don't think it's gonna happen, but
I don't think so either.
I mean,
if you were to say just the Super Bowl, I'd say maybe. But if you're saying even regular season games, then definitely not.
It's a tough one. I mean, I probably would say no, just because the odds of it happening are slim to 0, probably.
It would have to be a team, I think, that is in the Super Bowl that's kind of bad. in terms of the fact they don't score a lot. I feel like with these two teams, you know for a fact like you're going to get specifically points, touchdown, or I mean like a scoregami too, like probably like safeties come into play and a bunch of weird stuff. So yeah, no, I don't see it.
I just wouldn't know what to say. It's just like, all right, like I don't know. You just have to get lucky with those. That's more of a luck thing than an actual thing, but all right. So I just found on FanDuel Taylor Swift special bets.
Oh God.
So here's what they call them. So Cruel Summer. I'm assuming these are all songs by Taylor Swift. They're
Yes,
just naming.
Cruel Summer is one of them. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so Travis Kelce under 50.5 receiving yards and Chiefs to lose plus 360.
Oh, that would be a downright American travesty if that happened.
Hey, no pun intended. Travesty.
Good one there. There's
That's a good one. I got you.
I don't think you even meant to do that either.
No, I don't think so.
No, I didn't.
But I just don't see the Chiefs losing. So that one would go out the window for me right away. Let's see. How did it end? Travis Kelce to score a touchdown in the fourth quarter.
I could see it.
That would be
that.
He might have to, especially if they're losing. They might need him.
Well, what about game winning?
That's what I'm talking about. That would be an incredible story at the end. Imagine if he just because there's rumors of him retiring after the year is over.
The amount of outrage people will have.
What'd you say, Ben?
I was going to say the amount of outrage people would have. Oh, this shit's freaking, rigged. It's
like it's a script.
It's so scripted. He proposes to her after with the freaking rain.
That's a prop bet out there, right? Like that he'll get down and propose if they win the game. I don't think that'll happen, by the way.
He won't.
They won't do it. They won't do it on live TV, I don't think.
Some of these are just incredibly stupid. So 13, which is one of her songs, Chiefs to score exactly 13 points in the first half.
Oh, in the first half?
You would be sweating that bet out if you bet.
You want to hear what the odds
are? Like a missed extra point or like a bunch of field goals. Jeez.
13 is really low for the Chiefs.
But I could see the Chiefs doing that if they're not scoring touchdowns, though.
I did too.
Sure.
And by the way, it's plus 880 on your money if you could somehow nail that.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I don't know. Let's see. Blank space. Travis Kelce to have a reception of 30-plus yards and score a touchdown.
I think that happens.
I could see that happening.
Yeah.
That's plus 920 on your money if you place that.
Probably a busted coverage will happen here and there for Philly, so I can see that.
Not only a busted coverage, but a busting coverage where he's wide open, like 40 yards down the field.
Well, it could be the
wide open
that he has too.
Let's see. Mastermind. Chiefs defense to score first TD of the game.
No
way.
Even though their defense has been really good all year.
But hey, it did happen when Seattle played Denver. The first touchdown of the game was a defensive touchdown, so you never know.
Yes, that's true.
So
let's see. Then there's one called Clean. Chiefs to win each quarter.
No.
That would be tough. If they're winning every quarter, they're going to blow out the game, in my opinion. If they win every quarter. Here we go. Will Travis Kelce propose to Taylor Swift?
No.
So you want to hear the odds? Because this is wild. So yes is plus 700.
Oh, wow.
No is minus 1350.
So it's not even worth betting then, because you'll lose your money.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
You want to bet how many people are probably putting bets on that, hoping that they hit on it?
It's all girls.
Which means the gambling companies are gonna keep a crap ton of money. Then that's good for the betting distributors.
All right, here's another good one. This one has more of a chance of hitting. Will Taylor Swift post an Instagram? I don't know why they wrote it this way. Post an Instagram at Super Bowl. So it says so it's settled as a yes if Taylor Swift posts a story or a grid post on Instagram on February 9th.
Yes, she'll post
Yes.
something.
The day
Yes, she'll
after.
post something.
So I guess they're saying as long as it's the day after.
She'll
Will
post something.
I'm gonna
So
go
She'll
no.
post something, win or lose, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think she travels all over. I think.
Is there a bet? Is there a bet about anything in relation to Trump being at the Super Bowl? Or no?
I'm trying to look that up now, but
He actually will be at the Super Bowl.
he's the first.
First ever sitting president to be at a Super Bowl.
By the way, actually, that's a good little promo before we go back. If you want to check out the ETB Substack, Grant actually did a article on that story and a bunch of other headline stuff. So if you go over to our ETB Network Substack, etbnetwork.substack.com, Grant's been on it this week doing 2 articles covering Super Bowl headlines.
And I'll probably do one tomorrow or on Monday about the results of the Super Bowl. So
yeah, so make sure you tune in for that. Anyway, let's see some other novelty props. Oh, this one's good because they always put the cameras on the players right before the game. Will a player or coach cry during the national anthem?
Oh,
Yes.
a player will. Yes.
I'll tell you one thing: if the Rams were, Puka Nacua would definitely, because he always cries during the national anthem.
Okay,
True,
but
he does. He does.
But wait a minute. Let me give the ruling though, because FanDuel actually gives a ruling for how they determine it.
Okay.
So, if a player or coach is shown on the broadcast with a tear on their cheek,
That's what I thought it was going to be. As long as there's one tear, they count it.
so it's yes is minus 520, no is plus 350. So they're basically banking on that happening.
But if
It
they're
happens a lot.
That's easy because Chris Jones cries during every national anthem.
That's true. I forgot about that. You're right.
That's true. He does. Yeah.
All right. Then there's some stupid ones. Will Kendrick Lamar wear a hoodie for the first song of the halftime show?
I would say yes.
I'm gonna go yeah.
I would say yes.
So it says if Kendrick Lamar is wearing a hoodie for the first time, he's shown on live on stage. But wait a minute. That's a trick. If you think about it, though.
It is. You're right.
So what happens if he's shown before, like right before he gets on stage?
Yeah. Then do you still win? I don't know.
The odds are a lot closer than I thought they were going to be on this one. Yes, minus 128. No, minus 102.
That is crazy. I don't know. That's interesting.
Also, for the Super Bowl, it's Saquon Barkley's birthday, the day of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And Cooper DeJean's birthday.
Yes. But the bet currently, will Saquon Barkley have a birthday cake after the game on the field?
Actually, I could see that being a possibility.
It would have to be a win, though, right?
If
Yeah,
they win,
have
it's
to
a
win the game.
possibility.
I would
So-
say locker room.
Well, it says it has to be on the field.
Then
Oh,
no.
on the field, I would say no.
No.
But a cake, regardless, a cake will happen. But for betting purposes, I would say no.
Yeah, so the exact question for the bet is, will Saquon Barkley have a birthday cake after the game on the field?
On the field, see, that's the major caveat. So I would say no. I would say no.
Yeah,
I think them seeing happy birthday is a lot more likely. I don't even see that happening.
yeah, I just don't see any of that happening. Let's see if I can find any others while we're kind of looking around. We'll get to the game in a little bit. Let's see. These are all just song ones. Does anyone else have any other weird, like normal props that they would bet on, or that they're interested in, or no?
I'd be
I
interested.
don't really bet anymore, but I would if I were to bet tomorrow, I'd bet like passing yards and stuff.
Oh,
Like that.
I have a good one, but I don't know specifically if, well, technically speaking, you can't really bet it because you know kind of the next city anyway for the next Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, you can't.
But I was gonna say
You know
betting
the
the next city, if there specifically wasn't announced in the city, doing that.
Okay, Kanan, what were you saying though? Because I didn't hear what you were saying.
I'd kind of like to see like penalties against the Eagles, what they have for a number of that.
That's good. That's really good.
That is a good one. Good one, Keenan.
Penalty discrepancy, maybe like spread between two. I don't know. He's something
Nick,
to
is
look
there a
into.
crazy prop bet where the hot mic could catch a coach or player swearing on the field?
I haven't seen one of those yet. Oh, here's a good one. So, what a lot of books have been doing now is they do some cross sport bets with the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, I've seen those too. Is there one? Well, is there
So-
one related to either UFC tonight or any of the NBA games tomorrow?
So there is an NBA one.
Okay.
So let's see. Eagles running back Saquon Barkley having more rushing yards than the Milwaukee Bucks total team points.
I saw
That's
that.
hard. It's really hard.
I
Wait,
actually
say
don't
one
think
more
that.
time?
What?
Say it one more time.
Eagles running back Saquon Barkley having more rushing yards than the Milwaukee Bucks total team points that day.
What
I'm
is
going to
that?
say no.
Oh, that day. I was thinking that you meant for the rest of the season.
No,
Okay.
no. They always, whenever they do cross sport, it's usually whatever's on the same day.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't real. To be honest, with the Super Bowl on, I didn't even realize there were other sports on tomorrow.
Oh yeah, the NBA
What's
is
the total
up against
points for that game?
what, like the actual number that they have. I'd have to look it up, but let me see if I can even get Sunday's games on here. They don't have it listed yet for that game, but I'm going to say that the Bucks are going to have more points than, because Milwaukee's usually good for 115, 120 points a game, usually. So I'm going to say that Saquon is probably not going to beat 115 or 120 points a game. So I'd probably say that the Bucks are probably going to have more points than Saquon. I'm looking to see if there's any other crossovers. But what do we think about actual props? Have you placed any actual props on the game or no?
I have, but I kind of want to say them for once. We did our other predictions.
I'm just looking around to see if I missed any of the dumb props because they usually have a bunch. Oh, here we go. More Taylor Swift props. Taylor Swift appears on stage during the halftime show.
No.
I'm going to say no. Right?
No.
We did
Yeah,
that
no.
one already. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce announce engagement in 2025.
I would say yes.
The odds are actually in the favor of it, actually, which I didn't think. Will the Super Bowl 59 MVP mention Taylor Swift in his speech?
If the Chiefs lose,
If
no.
the Chiefs win, yes, but if they don't, no.
That would be kind of bizarre if, like, an Eagles player announced Taylor Swift in their speech.
Yeah, Saquon Barkley's just like talking shit about her after he gets MVP.
Yeah.
That would be incredible, right? I mean, I'm just looking around. I don't see much more on the Super Bowl props. We did the Gatorade color. We did Taylor Swift stuff. We did the coin toss. We did the national anthem. All these are just yard props. So I guess should we just get into the game at this point and start talking about it?
Sure.
All right. So let's get into the game. Super Bowl 59, Chiefs at the Eagles. And yes, I did look this up. The Eagles are technically the home team in this Super Bowl. I don't know why. I don't know how they figured.
They alternate every year.
Oh,
so
that's how they figured
year
out.
It was AFC, the next year it's NFC. Yeah. So then that means for Super Bowl 60, you said the Eagles were the home team this year.
Yeah.
That means that AFC will be the home team the following year.
Does it really matter or no? Who the home team is?
It's
No,
still at
I
a
don't.
neutral
No,
site
I
at the
don't.
end of the
I don't
day.
think so.
What'd you say, Anthony?
It's still at a neutral site at the end of the day.
Yeah, so I don't think it really matters who's considered the home
The
team
only
and
time
who's
it
not.
really mattered was when you had the Rams and the Buccaneers who got to play in the Super Bowl the same year they were hosting it.
And I don't think that should be allowed either. But I guess you can't really control that, right? Because the sites and scenes are determined like 2-3 years in advance. That was probably unfair, actually, to the Rams back then. But that's neither here nor there. So let's talk about headlines in the game. Does anybody have specific headlines they want to talk about in the actual game that they've been following? All right, Ben, go ahead.
I'm going to say specifically, everybody wants to talk about Patrick Mahomes, and understandably so. Of course, a three-peat, obviously, too. But I feel like the battle of the trenches is one of the biggest things not a lot of people have been talking about, and both teams have great battle of the trenches specifically. The Chiefs obviously got there because of their offensive line and their defensive line, but I think Philly, when you look at Philly, they have probably the best offensive line in football. So when you look at this overall matchup, I think both teams are very balanced and for a good reason. And it'll come down to specifically, I think, whoever wins the line of scrimmage is going to be winning this football game.
All right. Zan, do you have any headlines you're looking at specifically for the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm excited to see if history is going to get made, of course. Obviously, no team in NFL history has won 3 Super Bowls in a row. There's been 8 teams all time that have won back-to-back Super Bowls. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. And I'm also interested to see, too, considering that we thought Nick Sirianni was going to be on the hot seat at the end of last year, this is his game to prove everybody wrong that he still deserves to coach at the highest level of the sport. So those are the 2 storylines that I'm looking at, too. And then a third storyline is that I actually think Las Vegas has this line perfect. I think a lot of people don't really know how this game is going to go. Both teams are evenly matched. As I alluded to at the very beginning of this stream, both teams have excellent quarterbacks and excellent offenses. I really think if Vegas doesn't know how this is going to go, then it probably means that the game itself is probably going to be very unexpected from a lot of people where they don't even know which way the game is going to go either. But I'm just going to make my pick. If you've been following my show for the last couple of weeks now, I made it very clear who I'm picking. I'm taking the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. They'll cover the spread 24-20. I think it's a great game. I think they play from behind, and I think they win it late in the fourth quarter, and I think they get a stop. I actually think, and I hate to say it because it'll be Saquon Barkley's birthday, but I actually think, and if I'm right, you can clip this everywhere and hopefully it goes viral. But I want to make a bold prediction and say that a Saquon Barkley late fourth quarter fumble is going to lose the Eagles the Super Bowl.
That's actually interesting. If that happens, I think you'd be right because I don't think anyone's going to say that at all whatsoever.
That's my bold prediction. Is he's gonna have a good game. He'll probably have 2 touchdowns, but when they need him one more time, he's gonna find a way to cough the ball up. And it's gonna be one of those ones where you watch the play and he has the ball and he loses the ball, and your first reaction is what the hell happened?
And he doesn't fumble very much either.
Grant, I have a weird feeling about it, but I'll let Grant go next.
Grant, what do you see as your headline for this game?
So I followed a few headlines with this. Obviously, the one where the Chiefs are possible three-peat possibility, and it's completely possible. And honestly, I want to see it, but I also kind of want to see the Eagles win because of them losing 2 years ago. I would like them to get revenge on the Chiefs, but I'm going to side more with the Chiefs because a three-peat has never been done in the NFL, and it's been done in all the other prominent sports, I think, like basketball. I think it's been done in others, but I can't think of it. But another headline that I've been following is the Saints are the only team left that doesn't have a head coach in the hiring cycle, and I think they're going to hire Kellen Moore after the Super Bowl. So that's just it's not a Super Bowl headline, but it's a headline I follow. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. But I'm going to take the Chiefs to win this game.
All right, so you have them covering, right?
Yes.
So you both are covering. Kanan, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, so I just think, like I always say this, it's hard to bet against the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, he's such a technician. I don't see why they can't get it done, especially with how the Eagles played against the Rams. They were able to get a ton of pressure on Hurts. They allowed 11 sacks in the last 3 games, 7 of which came from the Rams. And this is against the Chiefs team who just proved that they could pressure the Bills, who have a really strong offensive line as well. They had pressure on him for about 50%. 50% of the snaps. So it should be a very competitive matchup in the trenches, like Ben said. It's going to be really interesting. I like the Eagles, though. I think a headline I've seen is like the Saquon revenge tour. He came in the season with a chip on his shoulder. He's proved to be, the offensive player of the year. So I think if they could stay away from getting pressured and just hand the ball off, the Eagles' offensive line can take them to win.
Okay, Anthony.
So yeah, this is a lot of storylines heading into this game. Obviously, the main one is the Chiefs three-peat. Obviously, if they could pull it off, they'll be the first team to pull that off in the Super Bowl era. Now, there has been teams in NFL history who have won 3 championships in a row before. The Packers have actually done it twice. They did it in the late 1920s to early 30s. That was before the NFL had a playoff system. And then they did it again with Vince Lombardi in the 1960s. But unfortunately, the first one was just an NFL championship. It was before the Super Bowl started. So technically teams have done it, but no team has done it in the Super Bowl era, and no team has definitely done it in the salary cap era. So obviously, if the Chiefs could pull this off, it would be probably the biggest accomplishment in team history for any team in NFL history. I mean, it would be something that we never thought would be possible. Now, the Patriots and Tom Brady came pretty close. There were a close game with the Eagles to pulling it off. But yeah, if the Chiefs do something, it would be unprecedented. I think Andy Reid has a chance. We got Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes' legacy on the line here, and a lot of people think they got potential to be the best of all time. I think Andy Reid potentially can be the best coach of all time. I think unlike Belichick, he proved that he could win before he had Patrick Mahomes. He won a lot with the Philadelphia Eagles. Belichick did not win without Tom Brady. So I think that is in Andy Reid's favor. For Pat Mahomes, I don't think he'd be the greatest quarterback with this repeat. It would definitely be the best accomplishment by any quarterback. But I think he's still got a long way to go to catch Tom Brady. But I definitely think he'd pass Joe Montana. And even before the age of 30, Pat Mahomes would probably be the second best quarterback to ever play in the NFL. But when you look at this game and you look at the players, obviously the Eagles got a great defensive line with Jalen Carter. But I like the Chiefs' interior offensive line. It's one of the best in the league. I think they'll be able to keep Jalen Carter in check. And then offensively, I think the Eagles will be able to keep their corners with Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. I think they'll be able to shut down Brown and Worthy. So I think it's going to have a big game out of guys like Noah Gray and Travis Kelce. I think that's how they're going to want to attack the Eagles' defense. I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a big game. We've seen with James Cook, the Chiefs can give up big runs to elite running backs. So I think the Eagles are going to want to rely on Saquon Barkley, and the Chiefs with that great defense with Trent McDuffie, I think they're going to be able to not neutralize, but definitely be able to contain Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. So even though I think Saquon Barkley is going to have over 100 yards, he's going to do the best he can to put the team on his back. It's going to be the same thing we see with the Chiefs all the time. The Eagles are going to have the lead in the fourth quarter, and Pat Mahomes is going to go on a game-winning drive, and I think Harrison Buckner is going to kick the game-winning field goal to get the Chiefs to win. Now, I do think the Chiefs win and cover, but I definitely will be rooting for the Eagles. I think Saquon Barkley deserves a Super Bowl probably just as much as any player in the NFL. I mean, for what he had to go through the Giants, he deserves it more than anybody. So I do think the Chiefs are going to win, but all night I'm going to be saying, fly, Eagles, fly.
Wow, interesting. Okay, Ben.
Yeah, of course. There's so much that you can get into this, right? You have the Chiefs, of course, with history. The Eagles obviously are trying to get their revenge from a couple of years ago. Like I mentioned, the battle of the trench is going to be massive. And I think it's going to come down to specifically for the Chiefs side, defensively, Spagnuolo. I think a lot of people have been talking this week. Spags is one of the best defensive corners, I think, in football. But he's also a very aggressive coordinator, too. What the Eagles can do specifically, I think, is a perfect game plan against a very aggressive type of blitzing team, because a lot of gaps specifically, if they can execute their running game, there's going to be a lot of gaping holes specifically, I think, for guys like Saquon Barkley. And we've already seen this so far with the Eagles. The gaping hole specifically with their running attack, it's been causing a lot of problems for the defense for the other teams. So, I mean, another thing too, right? The Eagles also have the best game plan when it comes to keeping the Chiefs off the field. Obviously the Chiefs, of course, want to have the ball as much as possible. But if the Eagles are continuously just running the football specifically, right, I think that they're going to win. And I do have them winning this game outright. I think specifically they're going to be a ground and pound type of team. I was thinking to myself, I don't know if I've asked you guys or not, but when was the last time that we've seen overall team in the Super Bowl with their best player being a running back? It's probably been a long, long time. And, because I heard somebody actually this past week that was saying that. And I think it's a really interesting thing that you can get to a Super Bowl specifically with the running back. It's really hard, but when you have a guy like Saquon Barkley, who's pretty much just been the callus for their team, if he keeps on what he's been doing, and of course with the birthday obviously come into play, I think he'll be even more hungry to go after against a team like the Chiefs, especially too with it being his first Super Bowl as well too. Another thing as well too is I think that the Eagles have a very good defense, at least in their secondary. They tackle really well, and I also think that they're not going to give up a ton of big plays to a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. And so the Chiefs are going to have to run the football a lot more. I think that's not specifically their strong suit. I think that they want to be more of a balanced type of team, and I think that Vic Fangio is going to limit that. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. I hate to pick against Mahomes and Reid because I did that last year, but something tells me with Philly, they've been a really fun team all year, and I think that they got their revenge from a couple years ago. So I'm going to go with Philly here outright.
Wow. Yeah,
so you're taking the Eagles and not the Chiefs, man?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the obvious pretty much here. I'm taking the Chiefs. I just think that Patrick Mahomes always finds a way to win games. This guy doesn't let time or anything constitute that he's going to have a game-winning drive or anything. Now, we've seen it through the regular season. We've seen it through the playoffs. This guy somehow manages to come back when down every single time this guy plays. I think Saquon will have a good game. I think Saquon could have 2 touchdowns in this game because I think what's going to happen is they're going to allow him to run. They're going to force him to run to get everything. Or actually, they're not going to block him, but they're going to play like double and triple coverages on the Eagles wide receivers. And I think they're going to force Saquon just to run the football. And they have to pick their poison. Are they going to get beat by Saquon and put all their coverage on Saquon and then all the receivers are open and then they get burnt? Or are they going to play deep coverage and force Saquon to tire himself out running the football all game? And I think letting Saquon run the football and tiring himself all game is actually a better strategy because eventually you're not going to be able to run for all 4 quarters at full speed. It's just not going to happen. So let him run, which means if that's how I see it, I think that all the Saquon props are probably going to hit in this game because he's going to get all the yards. He's going to get a touchdown or 2. But don't expect anything from the wide receivers because they're going to be double and triple coverage. And Jalen likes to throw the football, contrary to what everybody says. If he can't throw the football, he's going to get sacked 5 or 6 times at least because he doesn't throw the football away ever. He either takes sacks or he tries to get out of the pocket, and that's a disaster because of the Chiefs' defensive line, which is the best in football. And the other thing we didn't mention, I think it was the first time in a while, the Chiefs, the number 1 defense and the number 1 rushing team are playing against each other in the Super Bowl. I think it's been quite a long time since that's actually happened. I think it was the Cowboys and I can't remember who else. I just know it was the Cowboys or maybe the Cowboys and the Bills, I think was the last matchup in the Super Bowl where they had that matchup. But I just think that the Chiefs are going to find a way to win because Patrick Mahomes is on one side and they find a way to win. I can tell you when I was at work, when I was talking to other people, they said they're going to be upset if the Chiefs win 3 in a row. I don't understand why that changes anything. I don't understand why that matters if they win 3 in a row. It just proves that the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. That's all it really proves. And if the Eagles lose, I think Sirianni is fired, number 1. And I think they go a different direction because this guy can't get them over the finish line to win at all. I don't even think he. Go ahead, Grant. What were you going to say?
Who do they get to replace him? Because all of the good options are gone.
It's a good question. I don't know, but this guy can't get this team to win a Super Bowl. Just can't. And
Nick, if you're going to fire Nick Sirianni for not being in the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, I mean, and you could fire probably about another 20 coaches in the NFL, like McDermott, like John Harbaugh, and all these other coaches who lose to the Chiefs. I mean, nobody's beating the Chiefs, so I don't think it's fair to Nick Sirianni to be fired for losing the Chiefs when they're practically beating every other team in the league.
Well said. That's how. I don't think you should fire. I don't think you should fire a coach just because they lost the Super Bowl. When technically every goals team is to make it to the Super Bowl, even if they don't win it.
But I would say the difference is the Eagles had a very high bar to win, and the last couple of years they've had a very high bar to win, and they've been eliminated multiple times. And if they don't win now, you know how they say when you get to the Super Bowl, it's really hard to get back to it. Like, you have to win this game. From an Eagles perspective, they have to win this game, and I just don't see that happening. And then year after year after you make a Super Bowl, your team changes, and then you don't have the same chemistry and same balance to really go back. And
okay,
I'm not a Jalen Hurts fan. I've been on the record for that forever. I don't see him as like a leader type, really taking the team across the finish line.
I don't think he gets enough respect, though, for how good he can be.
I think he's a good quarterback, generally, but I just don't see him as like the leader. Let me get you across the finish line. Now, what I will say from 2 years ago is they might have gotten screwed on a penalty call at the end of the game.
I think they did.
And I don't know if, again, back then 2 years ago, I wouldn't say that was a whole referees thing yet, because people are saying like, oh, the refs are in the back pocket of the Chiefs. I'm also getting a little tired of that too, that everyone is blaming the refs for everything. But at the same time, if you go back to I know I'm reaching a little bit, but the Texans game where they threw the pass interference flag and the two Texans players smashed heads and didn't even hit Patrick Mahomes whatsoever, right. You could say that one was a little bit of a reach, quite a bit. Right. Now, the question I'll ask you guys is, do you see Mahomes kind of turning into like the Brady situation where like Brady would bitch and scream and moan and he would get a flag? Do you see that kind of happening with Mahomes a little bit?
No.
You don't?
I think it's worse.
You think it's worse?
Yeah. I mean, I think Pat Mahomes is way worse. I mean, look at the Bills game a couple years ago. I mean, he has one bad call going up against them in the regular season, and he's trying to charge at the referee, and you got players trying to hold him back.
I remember that.
The referees finally go up against you. Now you want to fight the referees? I mean, come on now.
That was bad for a fact. Like that just looked bad generally. But I just think the Chiefs are going to win. I don't know if I would take the 2 because I could see them being down, I don't know, down 7 and winning on like a 2-point conversion at the end of the game, winning by 1. So I would definitely take them to win. But the problem is if you're under 3, you're not really taking a money line because you're going to make because you're not going to make any value off a money line.
Right, because if you pick the game, you can only go one of 2 ways. You can't go in the middle. Like, you can't say really a Chiefs no cover unless they only win by 1, which would be pretty crazy.
It'd be incredible if they won by 1. Right. So I guess in this point, I'm going to take them to cover. But I could literally see this being like a 2-point, 3-point game. Like where either they're trailing and they win on a 2-point conversion or I could see them winning on like a Butker field goal at the end of the game. Like with the last 10.
Like 2 years ago.
Like a few years ago, correct. I could see them. That's why the prop, and Ben, you have to get to your props also for the actual game. But I would say one prop to watch is Harrison Butker, over 1.5 field goals or 2+ field goals, however they have it listed in the book, because it's in New Orleans. It's a dome, which means it's temperature controlled. There's no wind. There's no anything affecting the kicking. And the Chiefs, and Anthony, I think you said this to me, they struggle in the red zone. Like all year, they've struggled in the red zone, getting the ball in the end zone. So I think that's a good prop. I think that one will hit. I think he might have 3 or 4 field goals in this game, to be honest. And so I think they're going to win on a Butker field goal. So I'm going to say they win by the 2 or 3 points.
Guys, I just took a look at 2 years ago. If you guys want to know a trivia question, do you guys happen to remember the line specifically for the Super Bowl of these two teams 2 years ago?
Was it -1.5?
It was -2.5 for Philly.
And I remember when that came out, I said that's ridiculous because the Chiefs were. I don't get how the Eagles were a favorite 2 years ago. That's when the team had all their offensive weapons too.
I think they were just a massive belief. I think it was that. Wasn't it that year where Philly was just absolutely unstoppable, like every single game? I think they were just a massive believer specifically that the whole entire trend was going to keep on going. And then people were just like, oh, yeah, by the way, Mahomes. Yeah, that guy. The Grin Reaper.
You gotta remember, too, that was the first year I don't think they had Tyreek Hill. And the Chiefs had not won the Super Bowl the 2 years before that because they lost to Joe Burrow in the AFC Championship game. And they lost to Tom Brady in the Super Bowl the year before that.
That's right. Because they had trouble actually getting to the Super Bowl before actually making their Super Bowl run.
Yeah, they did because they would either lose in the divisional playoff or they lost that 1 year to Brady in the AFC Championship, or they let him go like 96 yards to win the game or something like that. So they had a couple years where they were snake bit until Brady left New England and they started taking over. So
that's a good point.
And the only time he's lost, at least to my knowledge, is when he lost to Brady when Brady was in his first year in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they asked him this week during the media, well, Mahomes, what was the worst loss you've taken when it comes to memory? And he said that game against Tampa Bay. Because obviously, one, it was in the Super Bowl, but two, it was one of the biggest blowout losses probably the biggest.
But wasn't he hurt?
No, it was the offensive line for them. I mean, to be fair, it was hurt. But, I mean, the Chiefs also, too. I mean, Tom obviously had Antonio Brown. They had a really, really good offense.
It was just
a horrible home stadium, so it was almost like a home game specifically for a Super Bowl. So it was very.
Right, it was just a horrible Super Bowl because that was like during COVID and stuff. It was weird.
But wasn't Mahomes limping around and everything during that game also?
Well, he was limping around because our offensive line was pretty much banged up. So pretty much Todd Bowles was just going after him like crazy. If you guys remember specifically, a lot of the pictures of Patrick Mahomes going like this to his side.
Yes.
Trying to go. And the fact that, I mean, of course, it was kind of garbage time at that point in time. That pretty much was the whole entire game all night. It was pretty much like him making all these crazy plays for him to try to win the game.
I know. That's crazy. Ben, did you actually have actual NFL, Super Bowl props that you wanted to actually get to?
Yeah, sure. It was just kind of, normal one specifically. I did pick money line for the Eagles, and then I did a 3-pick parlay, anytime touchdown with A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, and Travis Kelce.
Anybody else have any other Super Bowl props on that front?
No.
I mean, like I said, the one I would look at is the Butker prop. I think that one will hit. And then there's just some normal props that I found that a lot of sites are doing. Patrick Mahomes over 24.5 passing completions. Do we think that number's high or no?
No, I think that's logical.
I think that's plausible.
Over what? What was it?
So it's over 24.5 passing completions. So 25 completions.
Wait, is that with both quarterbacks or just
Mahomes? Mahomes.
Say the number one more time.
Patrick Mahomes over 24.5 pass completions.
So 2 years ago, he had 21. So he was right within that number. So I'm going to go over, though. I think it's kind of given.
I'll go over.
Chiefs are going to be down a lot, I think, in this game.
I think he's going to have to throw because he's trailing, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It is a lot of passes to complete. Don't get me wrong, but so they have that as plus 100 for Mahomes over 24.5 completions. Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, minus 115. I think Kanan said this before with the tush push. I think that's definitely going to come into play at least 2 or 3 times. Even if he doesn't get it the first 2 or 3 times, I think that he's going to have a tush push touchdown at some point in this game. I think that's actually almost a surefire bet. Obviously, you can't say it's guaranteed, but they're going to get in the red zone. They're going to push. So, what do we think about that one? Yes, probably.
Yeah,
Yes.
he had 2 years ago. He had 3 touchdowns on the ground, so I'm going to go yes.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that he was the most aggressive with the touchdowns a couple of years ago. The Kelsey one we already talked about. Kelsey anytime touchdown. We think that's for the most part going to happen. We think.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, here's an AJ Brown prop. Since Ben, you were talking about that. AJ Brown over 71.5 receiving yards. What do we think about that?
I'm going to take the under on that. I think it's going to be a Saquon heavy game. I think they're just going to get the ball to Saquon as much as they can and throw it to AJ and Devonta, maybe Goddard every once in a while.
So you think that might be an under because there's going to be a lot of mouths to feed? Probably.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's his Jalen Hurts likes to hit a lot of people, so I don't think AJ Brown's going to have a spectacular game.
I mean, the only thing I guess you have to watch is one deep throw for the game, and maybe he gets 50 yards on a catch, and then a few other small ones, and he's at 72 yards. But I just don't see that happening. Oh, we have one more in the party here. What's up,
Hey.
Nick? So we're just getting to the picks now.
All right,
So-
perfect timing.
So what do you have for the pick of the game? Number one, Chiefs minus 1.5.
Chiefs, I'm taking the Chiefs.
Specifically, you have reason?
Yes. Okay, so I'm taking the Chiefs for overall. I said this on the podcast. I said they have the better quarterback and the better head coach. Now, I'm not saying having the better quarterback and head coach necessarily means that they're the better team or that they're going to win. But when everything else is kind of even, I would take the team with the better quarterback and the better head coach. I think that there will be different phases in this game for sure. I think there will be points where Philly's ahead. There'll be points where the Chiefs are ahead. But between Mahomes and Andy Reid, I really think that they're just going to come out on top. And I also think they'll probably get a little bit of help from the refs also. I think that'll also help. So give me the Chiefs and give me the Chiefs minus 1.5. I just think Mahomes is going to – I think they're going to three-peat. I think Mahomes is going to get it done.
So I'll ask you the same question I've been asking everybody here. Do you understand why people are getting upset over a three-peat or no?
Do I understand why people are getting upset? Kind of. I mean, yes, I would say I understand it, but I don't exactly view a three-peat as a bad thing.
I agree.
I don't view three-peats as a bad thing. Like, if they want – but, I don't think it's necessarily – yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it sort of depends on how it happens is how I would view it. Like, if there's another, really, really ticky-tacky call that leads to it or some really bad call, bad roughing the passer call on Mahomes or something like that, I think it'll be much more upsetting. But I think, like I said, I think it's Chiefs fatigue that people feel that way.
I mean, but you can't take it's the best team to wins, right? I mean, that's the way I look at it.
No, I see it that way too. Like, I mean, if you think about it, it's just like, I also see it in a sense that, this is also just a type of dynasty that we haven't seen before.
It's true.
Like even if you look at a team like the Golden State Warriors, they only won 2 years in a row. They couldn't 3 years in a row. And we thought they were going to be this crazy dynasty. And the Chiefs are more of a dynasty than that. And the thing is, like I said, I think people think they have more Chiefs fatigue than they really do, which is that you're living in the moment. And when you're living in the moment, it's hard to appreciate what you have. So,
That's a good point.
It's hard to appreciate the dynasty or the greatness that you're currently watching, as opposed to 10 years from now when it's all over, you look back and you think that was really great. So that's just another part of it. But I understand why people hate the Chiefs. I do. It's not that, you know what, you were talking about being upset about a three-peat. They're not upset about a three-peat. They're just upset the Chiefs are doing it.
That's a good point, because if any other team was doing it, they'd be happy if they were winning 3 in a row too. I mean,
well, the thing is, though, I think that there is a certain level of like, first of all, it is undoubtedly true that great teams like the Chiefs do get a certain amount of favoritism. Just like LeBron has gotten a lot of favoritism in basketball. And the other thing is, I think teams that win a lot often become villains to a degree. They often become villains to a degree. I mean, like you can say, you look at the Patriots, you look at the Warriors. It's always, I mean, the Yankees for like 100 years. So that's always a common thing. And I feel part of me thinks that if there was any other team that went the same trajectory as the Chiefs did in the past, say, 5 years, they would have become villains too to some degree, and they also would have had some favoritism. So I think it would have happened. Like, let's say it was the Bills, for instance. The Bills went the same way as the Chiefs. I think that like people would feel the same way about the Bills, even though they have a terrible history. Like, I think the same thing would have happened, and people would have felt that way about that team too, because like the Patriots, at least they have like the Patriots throughout my life have been much more unlikable than a lot of other teams. Like there were a lot of scandals. Bill Belichick is kind of rubs people the wrong way in a lot of ways, and there were cheating scandals and things like that. The Chiefs, they don't put out any sort of like negative image. You know what I mean? Like there was nothing really remotely negative about the Chiefs' image. It's the reason people hate the Chiefs have to do with things that really mostly have nothing to do with the Chiefs. It's mostly because of the refs and Taylor Swift.
Well, that's the other thing.
That's why people hate the Chiefs, because of the refs and Taylor Swift.
And that's the other thing. Like, maybe I'm in the camp that doesn't like when she showed 100 million times during the Super Bowl.
Right.
But everyone's going to say, oh, well, it's a total of what, 3 minutes in a 4-hour broadcast, even though I don't like it because they're just looking for attention. But the one thing I'll ask around the room, because we started to talk about this, Stephen A. had a ridiculous take. Gee, shocker right there.
Wait. Which one?
What?
Which one?
That's why I said, gee, shocker. But Stephen A. came out, I think it was a couple days ago, and said if Mahomes wins the Super Bowl, he's the greatest quarterback of all time.
You didn't just say this a couple days ago. You said this a couple weeks ago.
That's old news, man.
No,
That's
but
really old news.
but I just think it's kind of an interesting take, because how can you say that right now when the guy's won? If he wins, it'd be his fourth, and Tom Brady has 7. Like, I think that's a ridiculous take.
Well, well, go ahead, Ben. You're a Patriot fan, so you took it personally, probably.
Listen, no, I've seen Mahomes Brady live, and that was obviously one of Mahomes' first early years, and I came to appreciate it. I came to appreciate specifically someone that's going to about to choose greatness. You look at obviously Michael Jordan, LeBron. And I hate to cross sports, but you can make an argument for so long in terms of who's better, this and that. At the end of the day, it's just greatness that you're essentially watching. So to me, I mean, it's really cool. Obviously, you kind of see somebody kind of taking the new reins from this new era, I guess you can say, because a lot of pretty much everybody but Aaron Rodgers at this point in time, it's pretty much all these new quarterbacks we're going to be seeing for the long term. And so now the Chiefs are pretty much not taking the reins. And I think that, as Nick was mentioning about it, I think people are kind of tired because they thought specifically that maybe there was going to be more of an even playing field after my team specifically ran the overall world for 2 decades. Everybody's just like, all right, we all know how it turned every single year to try to win a Super Bowl. But now you have this one team specifically in terms of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. You know, they're finding ways to pull it out now. So I think it's kind of that. But I'm nothing against it. If they three-peat specifically, I mean, good for them. You know, I'm a UConn fan as well too. UConn, obviously, they're trying to go for a three-peat. Doubt it happens for March Madness, but it's obviously it's greatness. I mean, people want to hate as it's hate, but I think another cool thing about it too is just embrace it. Embrace the jealousy specifically, because like Nick, you were talking about it. People will come to appreciate it down the line specifically, kind of after it's over.
Yeah, it's all about history. I mean, that's what the NFL. Well, the NFL is going to claim that it's all about history, when to them it's really all about marketing. But here's the one thing, and it's been talked about this week: they're going to have to go to Pat Riley if they want to use the term three-peat, because he licensed that term decades ago. He coined the phrase three-peat.
He trademarked it?
Yeah, he trademarked it.
You know, we live in a world with way too many trademarks.
I know, right? I mean, and I did read that apparently the NFL did go to Pat Riley and they made a licensing agreement for the term three-peat so that they could use it in all their marketing if they win.
Remember, I think, didn't Jameis Winston trademark the phrase famous Jameis
Yes, I
when
think
he
he
was in
did.
college?
Yes, I think he did. I mean, it's crazy the amount of trademarks and things that they get, especially out of like the Super Bowl.
What's next? Is he going to trademark stealing crab legs too?
Oh my God, that story still lives, doesn't it?
It does. It will never die.
Did you see that he was working with Fox like all throughout the Super Bowl week, and like he was driving people around in like the
Jameis Winston?
Yes, he was. Yeah. He was literally like driving guests around in one of those old-fashioned like carriage things or bike things or whatever.
First of all, I would never get in a vehicle with Jameis Winston.
Well, there was cameras and stuff around, so I don't think he was really.
Maybe if there's cameras around,
but he looked like he was having a good time at least.
He
during
always
Super
looks
Bowl
like he's having a good time.
Well, just don't take him into a seafood establishment.
Yeah.
Actually, that was a supermarket, right? Not a seafood.
It was a Publix.
Oh, that's even worse. You're not even getting quality crab meat.
But yeah, I don't know. It's Publix. In fact, the funny thing is, because Publix is only like a thing in the South, I never even heard of Publix until that story came out.
Well, wouldn't Publix be kind of like a Costco or something around here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's also in Dixie that's down there also.
Yeah, so it's kind of just like a big open market that you can buy things in bulk. Essentially, I think.
Or in Jameis Winston's case, steal things in bulk.
That's a good point. I didn't think of that either. But what was I going to say? Oh, since you're actually here, Nick, I can actually promote your unnecessary wagers.
Yep.
Coming up after the show, it'll be out. What time is that coming out, Zan? That's coming out at 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 8 p.m. Eastern. Unnecessary wagers, the first for moving the goalposts, will be coming out, and he was doing this on moving the goalposts and Forever Power 5. Now we turned it into a little bit of a Substack vehicle. Not going to give away stuff because we've already done some props and we kind of crossed over. I will say, Nick, some of the ones you might have done, but this, I think it was plus 1,400 was the parlay odds total I think you did on the first one.
Yeah.
So there is some good ones in there. I remember some of them. So just make sure you go check that out. One more shameless plug, etbnetwork.substack.com. So go check that out. That'll be up there. Nick, were there any other props, since you're big on the props side, besides the ones you did for Substack that you're looking at?
No, the only other one was the one you brought up, which was Harrison Butker field goals. I thought that I didn't include that in the I didn't include that in the wager, but I thought that was an interesting one.
Temperature controlled environment in a dome.
Yeah. Other props. You know what? I would also like to see like maybe screen time Taylor Swift gets and things like that. All sorts of prop bets, or what color is the Gatorade going to be? I'll take a look at all that. I don't know if that's going to be available.
National anthem time. We talked about that earlier.
Can you bet on screen time? I don't think so.
No,
right?
No,
because there's no way to judge it, really.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to do. Also, how much screen time Taylor Swift gets really just depends on Travis Kelce's game.
Yeah, so if Travis Kelce makes a positive play, they're going to go directly after Taylor Swift.
If Travis Kelce has a big game, Taylor Swift will be shown a lot.
It's a good point. By the way,
you know what? I think that the funny thing about like the Chiefs and Taylor Swift is that those are two things, one in the world of pop culture and one in the world of sports, where people have had a lot of fatigue over, and it's just combining into one thing.
Yeah, and we're going to finish
which is why I think it creates a certain level of angst.
Yeah, and we're going to finish this up in a few minutes. But I just found the actual odds for the Gatorade color odds because I couldn't find them before. So let's see. Red and pink was the favorite at plus 250.
Red and pink?
Red/pink, correct. Followed closely by yellow/green/lime, obviously the Eagles colors, plus 300, and purple, plus 350.
Interesting.
Where
are you finding this? Because I can't find it on DraftKings.
So if you go on, well, these are just listed odds.
Gatorade color.
Wait, they actually have that on DraftKings? Really?
Yeah, yellow and green is minus 225.
Oh, so I guess they raised them up a little bit.
Purple is plus 220. I'm sorry, plus 320. Orange is plus 1,000. Blue is plus 1,300. Red is plus 1,400. No Gatorade bath is plus 1,500, and clear is plus 1,800.
Oh, there's going to be a Gatorade bath. We know that for a fact.
I don't look at the odds for. I don't think they're going to do clear.
No, we've never seen clear.
No, we've never seen that before.
Never. And then I'll just give you this one because it's fun. They have actually a Super Bowl score prediction down on here,
Like an exact score.
like an exact score. And they have Chiefs 20. It's the odds are way out of this atmosphere, but they have Chiefs 26, Eagles 23, and they have this listed on Caesars at plus 10,000.
Wow.
I don't know. That score doesn't seem too out of the realm, does it?
Plus, wait, say it again. The score?
Chiefs 26, Eagles 23.
Well, betting on an exact score is very difficult.
So hard.
That would be fun, though. I mean, it doesn't seem too far.
That's why when I
in there.
make predictions, like I just I take a side. I don't say this is going to happen because even if I'm right, it's like, well, I got the score wrong.
I'd rather like bet on the spread because at least you have a chance.
Yeah.
So and we didn't talk about this yet. The over/under is 48.5 currently. So does anyone think there's going to be an over or an under of that score?
I will say, I probably wouldn't take any bet for any particular score, but Chiefs 26, Eagles 23, it might be the best one. Because it's right at the over/under, and it's right at it, and it's just barely covering the spread.
Well, actually, you would be on the over there, according to that, because that would be 49.
It's right at the over. So, I mean, it's 49 with a 48.5 over/under. So that might be the most likely score to happen, actually.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an over just because I don't know. I just don't think defense is going to be played as well as these teams played during the regular season. I think but both these teams have very good defenses. The Eagles have a really, really good pass rush.
Mhm.
And I think that they'll give Mahomes a lot of trouble. I think both quarterbacks are going to have a lot of trouble from the defenses. I think that Mahomes is going to run a lot. I think that there will be a lot of breakdown in the coverage, and Mahomes will have to scramble a lot. I think that will happen. I don't think it's just going to be some offensive juggernaut of a game.
All right. And the final one I'll give you, and then we'll wrap it up. There was a prop out there. We did this right off the top. A first touchdown scorer, jersey number over under 15.5, jersey number.
First touchdown scorer?
Yeah. So do you think the jersey number is going to be over 15.5 or under 15.5? You would have to know the jersey numbers.
I'm trying to go through all the numbers.
I mean, the big ones like Saquon is 26.
Saquon is over.
Dallas Goedert, 88.
I would say over if I were to take a guess, but it really depends on who wins the coin toss.
Well, all right, Mr. Gambler. Would you ever bet on the coin toss?
No.
Okay. Yeah, we all said no to that. Like
I have no reason to believe it's going to go one way or the other.
It's a crapshoot. Let's just put it that way.
It's literally a coin toss. Like,
all right,
I'm not
Mr.
going to bet
Ironic.
on something that you can just use as a comparison. You know, like people would say, "Oh, it's a coin toss." Like,
I know some people who bet, not like me personally, but I know some people who bet like $10,000 like on the coin toss, like thinking that, oh, I'll just make a quick buck on it.
No. How about the national anthem? Can we still bet on that?
Yeah, it's 120.5 seconds. So 2 minutes and 1 second would win the prop if you went over. Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
I might bet on that.
Wait, really?
I would bet on the over for the national anthem. I want to be like, I want a stake in the national anthem.
I could just see you now. Like if you hit that prop, you're just gonna go out there on social media. Yes, I hit the over on the national anthem prop. Yeah,
I'm pro America, so I'll bet the over. You know,
Didn't Johnny get close? Because I remember the group chat last year.
Yes.
And Johnny mentioned something about it.
I don't know if I'm looking for it on DraftKings.
I just have the one that they put out here is 120.5. And Nick, they had betting analysis for it. They said take the under.
Take the how can anybody say that?
No one. It's a crapshoot.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not showing on. It's the national anthem length is not showing.
I think you can only bet that on an offshore book. I think because they
Oh,
can't.
okay.
I think I'm not 100% sure on that.
I wouldn't go out of my way to bet it, but if it's available on DraftKings, I'd do it.
If I could find a way to do it, I'd probably bet the over if I could, just because I just want to see the last note. But the problem is with the anthem, where do you start and where do you finish when the anthem starts?
Oh,
but I'm saying like the music, like it starts. Does it count when the music starts?
Oh, that's a good question. My guess would be when the music starts and when the last note finishes.
Because sometimes you'll hear like this huge dramatic buildup to the beginning of the national anthem.
I think it's as soon as the music starts.
Then I think that 201 should be easy to hit. Then, if that's the case, shouldn't it?
I don't know. I honestly have never really kept track of how long the national anthem is going. But yeah, as soon as the music starts, because that's a part of the national anthem. It's not just when the voices.
So, do you think DraftKings and FanDuel and MGM and Caesars, like they all have a stopwatch, or someone who's like officially was supposed to sit there and say, "All right, hit the stopwatch,
Go."
like go, go."
Yeah, I guess that could be. It could be.
I think that's another one where you could be throwing your money away though at the same time, depending. But who knows?
I can see there being like a legal dispute over it.
Yes,
that goes to court.
Well, it started here. No, it started here, and it ended here. Like, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting game. We're going to wrap this up in interest of time because we're almost at 6:00. But it's going to be a good game. Everyone go enjoy the Super Bowl. We will be back for one more week of football forecast to kind of go over the game, all the interesting headlines that come up on Super Bowl 59. So just make sure you tune in to that. Make sure you follow the show on social media at TFB Forecast, ETB, for everything we put out. I might put out a few clips for tomorrow. We'll see what happens. YouTube.com/ETB Network. We are at 910 subscribers. We picked up a few more. We're getting closer to 1,000. So please just hit the subscribe button. Help us out. Not for this show, but listen to Football Forecast and any other of our shows wherever you get your podcasts. So please check that out. Football Forecast is presented by Playback. Make sure you go check out all our streams that are there as well. We have some more in the fire, so just stay alert for that. And check out our new expansion on Substack, etbnetwork.substack.com. Pat Dana, who wasn't able to make it today, he did an article that's coming out in about roughly an hour from now, 7 Eastern, and then Nick's unnecessary wager at 8. So plenty of content before Super Bowl 59 commences at 6:30 p.m. Eastern on Sunday.
Well, 6:30.
That's true. You're right. It's probably going to be like 6:42 or something. It's some odd time.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
right.
like the national championship game. Or all the bowl games, really.
How long did that game take to start?
30 minutes at least.
Yeah, probably.
Well, what was the actual time start of the national championship?
8:45.
So it was supposed to be 8:30, and it started like 8:45.
Yeah.
No, it was. I think. No, it was
9?
like 7:30. It was supposed to be. It was like 7:45. It started.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, they moved that.
That's right. So
Yeah, they moved
if
it.
it's 6:30, let make sure you budget about 10 to 12 minutes extra because nothing ever starts on time.
Nope.
So, like I said, join us again next week. We will go into some analysis for Super Bowl 59. And then Anthony and Kanan take the show over for the off-season, for the Football Forecast off-season show. And we will be back next year. Unbelievable that this season is over. It goes
It's
fast.
unbelievable that the season's over. And I guess, Nick, we can now call you the winner of the picks competition because there's only one game left. So congratulations, I guess, to you. And I guess to me also for squandering my lead to essentially hand it to you because it looked like I was going to take it, and then I
You
choked.
did look like you were going to take it.
So what's up?
You did look like you were going to take it. You had it for a while.
No, it did. It did.
But
It was that saying who came in last? Who was the person that decided that?
it's kind of hard because some people didn't finish all the way.
Oh, okay.
But technically, if I just go through the scores really fast,
Probably Pat.
Pat? Yeah, I think with Pat.
yeah, but it wasn't that far. Like it was close.
It was probably last too.
Zan, you would say like it was pretty close all year, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the person who was last who picked every game was you, Ben. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, but again, you weren't that far off. You were probably
No, you weren't.
it was probably about 10 to 15 points separating last from second to last. So,
I would say so.
so we had a good year. We're going to bring this back next year. There's going to be some different rules next year, so we can avoid all the point spread issues we kind of had. So I'll just say it here. I will say it again next time when we talk about next year. It's just going to be point spreads next year. We're not doing points for wins. So it's just going to be based on point spread. That's it.
That's all it should be.
So there's no arguments over a win and a point spread and all this nonsense. So if you get the spread right, that's it. It's going to be the same amount of points, but just no win-loss, because that kind of screwed everything up this season.
Yeah, you're right.
So go enjoy the game.
That's how we do it on Forever Power 5.
Yeah, so we're gonna make that all symmetrical.
Speaking of Forever Power 5, I'm gonna make an announcement right now. There will be a pick tracker. It was on me this past year for not tracking picks every week, but next year, starting with the 2025 college football season, you will get literal standings from every person. So,
and there is 2 Substacks coming, exclusives coming out of that show. You'll be doing unnecessary wagers for FP5, and Will Charlton will be doing noteworthy in the NCAA stuff, which will include some college football and some other college stuff.
Oh,
as well.
good. I didn't know about that.
So that's new. It was brand new. So that's actually going to start.
A lot of Substack ideas.
Yeah, there's a lot. You'll have more that we have to discuss too. So we have plenty more to in the fire. So I'm going to stop babbling because some people have to go do something at 6:00. So for everybody here at the ETB Network, go enjoy the Super Bowl. And we will see you guys next week. Go enjoy.
Enjoy the game, fellas.